people got nukes. The Russians are scared of her, and for a good reason. She's dangerous. She's a lunatic. Let's talk to Zeke in California. Go ahead. You're on the air.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That would be me.
Welcome. Go ahead.
Right now, yeah, I appreciate it. Just want to preface, my statements by saying I've been listening to you for so many years. I can't even keep track how far back it goes. But I did want to take a second to address the Trump situation and asking people that were Bernie supporters whether or not they were going to jump to Trump. And I'm not one of those people. I'm not going to jump to Trump. Just real quick, because I don't even know where to begin, really. I think if Trump was really sincere about his Make America Great Again thing, and if he was really about empowering America, he would have been done to set up some type of industrial enterprise here in the States, and he's been outsourcing labor and having stuff built all over.
No, I hear you. His argument is it's so unfair and everything's so expensive, I can't do it. It won't work. And I've experienced it where I do Made in America, and then people hardly buy it because it costs 30, 40% more. And so I'm kind of in that position where I mean, we wouldn't exist if we weren't buying it from Mexico or whatever. But I hear you. He could do a national push, have an industrial zone or something, get investors. That'd be a great idea. So you don't think there's any action behind his talk?
No, not at all. I think he's playing people like waving a raw steak in the faces of a blindfolded, hungry individual. And then I'm not all in your pockets. I don't know how much you have in the bank, but him as a billionaire, you could easily set up some type of industrial enterprise, have a construction team or something like that. And then in the bigger picture...
Well, I think he'd argue that he builds golf courses and hotels and apartment buildings and businesses here in America. I mean, he does mainly invest in the United States.
I mean, come on now. The people on golf courses, I'm talking about the bread and butter of America.
I know, brother, but you understand service economy like that is what actually creates the mid-level tier jobs. I mean, Trump has produced a lot in the country.
Well, but again, a golf course versus like construction teams, the people that support them, I think he's playing them the same way Arnold Schwarzenegger played everybody here in California.
Oh, I hear you. Well, I knew Schwarzenegger was bad. Oh, my God. That guy was behind the Enron, everything, I tell you. And I hated Gray Davis, but it was just like total setup. No, I hear you. So will you be supporting Hillary or Trump?
Yeah, I mean, I would have to hold my nose and check a box for Hillary, even though, like you just said, the Bushes and the Clintons, we sick of all of them. I mean, I'm not a socialist.
Zeke, I love you, and I appreciate you listening. I appreciate the call. But hands down, Hillary is probably, other than maybe LBJ, one of the most dangerous, racist, demonic people you could ever imagine. Donald Trump is all about Donald Trump. But he wants to be the turnaround guy that makes America great again. He's an egomaniac for real. And there's a reason they're scared of him. He isn't out to get us, okay? And he's super honest. Yeah, I make my ties in Mexico. I'm not against Mexico. I can make them for 1/10 the price. You can't do stuff in America. I want to change that. Mexico's screwing us over. I make stuff in Mexico. I explain it to people. Here, buy the Made in America shirt. It's $25 because it costs me, $12, $13, $14 depending on the shirt. Or I can buy one in Mexico for $4. And then I can sell them to you for $9 or $5. And the people, you vote. You control me. You vote with your dollars. I try to be the most moral person I can be. But I find it very refreshing that Trump is honest about that. And I'm not defending any of this. I'm really concerned about this Pence thing and the amnesty and the open border and the NAFTA and the GATT and the TPP. TPP, I mean, he better come out and say he's firmly behind Trump and everything, if this is actually who. Anthony, I've got to go. I want you to take these calls from Alex in Mexico and Greg and PA and others. I've got a meeting I got to go to. I wish I could listen to the show. We obviously have a special that ends today, and it will end today. On the storable foods, all the other specials at the end. 10% off extended, though, when it comes to nutraceuticals. 25% off on DNA Force. These are all products you need, and voting with your dollars makes it all possible. I appreciate all of your support, my friends. InfoWars is such an important voice, getting the word out to people everywhere. InfoWarsLife.com for the 25% off DNA Force. InfoWarsStore.com is the umbrella site where you can find everything. InfoWarsStore.com. But Anthony, I'm going to segue to you now with, I don't know your view yet. This just broke when I was on air and you were getting ready. You heard me read Watson's article. Mike Pence would be a terrible choice for Trump's VP. I agree, unless you're talking about Gingrich. I mean, Gingrich, if he comes out and endorses Gingrich, I'm going to have a mini heart attack. But politicians have turned so bad, I almost expect it. I just, you know, if that's the case, at least I can start unloading on Trump before he gets in, and I won't feel guilty. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think Trump's for real overall. What do you think, Anthony?
Well, you know, I think it's sad. You think about that caller that called in, and what do we talk about? We talk about how people say, oh, I want Hillary just because she's a woman. Then that caller, not attacking her, you know, but she says, I don't think we're ready for a woman to lead. And I hear so many people just say these statements about just the most elementary level stuff. They don't talk about any of the details or anything. And we're talking about, you know, the VP pick. You're reading an article, Watson wrote a really good one, about what this guy supports. But instead, on the news, when I was in there getting ready, I hear the news people say things like, well, I don't know if he's strong enough. I don't know if he's a strong enough person. Like, what does that even mean?
They never bring up real issues.
It's just nothing. It's just
That's why we're in so much trouble. It's like, his hair looks good, though.
Yeah. Well, you know, I don't know if he's fit enough to lead. Right? They don't talk about his actual opinions or his policies.
Leading means you take us in a good direction that's moral, constitutional, and you can get the people behind it. That's leadership.
I mean, I would totally vote for a woman. I'm sure you would too, if she was actually a good candidate and had our best interest in mind and wasn't an establishment puppet. I would vote for her in 1 second. I think it would be amazing, because then we could get behind a woman and it would be, oh, a woman or whatever. It's a joke when you bring it down to gender. It doesn't matter which gender it is.
Well, I mean, I get her point, though. I understand if it was from that perspective, you'd be totally right. I mean, I'm not saying you're wrong, but I get the perspective. From the perspective of we don't need a woman because they're not smart, I get you. But what she's saying is with the Muslim countries and stuff, they'll see that as weak.
I get what she's saying, but I wasn't even specifically talking about her. I'm saying the overarching thing of these people debating based on ridiculous factors.
No, I hear you. Anthony, I'm handing the baton to you. InfoWars Nightly News tonight, 7 o'clock Central. Please continue.
All right. Thanks, Alex. You know, it's I got a stack of news, and it's one of those times where there's so much going on. There's so much craziness going on. Everyone's talking about Donald Trump's VP and everything like that, which we're going to talk about a little bit too. But there's other news coming out, and it's just as important, because sometimes when all the craziness is going on, we miss some of the good stuff, right? We miss some of the gems. So here we have Kerry. You guys may have already heard about this. U.S. will welcome a target of 10,000 Syrian refugees, okay? Of course, everyone's already talked about the vetting process being a failure, but that's fine. The target is 10,000. And instead of debating it, instead of debating the whole refugee situation, I wanted to remind you of something. And that is that Saudi Arabia, we've talked about this many, many times, has 100,000 air-conditioned tents sitting empty. Still, they won't take in Syrian refugees. I mean, there are tents sitting there. No one is in them. Not a single soul. They're perfectly preserved. They're clean. They're air-conditioned. From the Washington Times, it says, Saudi Arabia faces mounting criticism for refusing to take in any of the millions of Syrians fleeing conflict in their homeland. It was revealed this weekend that the country has over 100,000 empty air-conditioned tents that could house up to 3 million refugees. So I wanted to bring that up again because I see celebrities and others speaking out and saying we need to bring in the refugees. It's a very sad situation. You know, it is a sad situation. It's a very, very sad situation. But why are we not publicly calling on other countries like Saudi Arabia with 100,000 air-conditioned tents that are empty that could fit 3 million refugees with ease, and it's way closer. It's not going to result in coming over to the United States. And Saudi Arabia is a much more congruent nation as opposed to the refugees, which many of them have reported to been, you know, extremists that wanted to kill people in the United States. But no, rather guilt people and say that we're bad for not taking in Syrian refugees, right? So also wanted to hit on this. China likely hacked U.S. banking regulator, report finds. And it's interesting because, this is from Reuters, it didn't just happen. They're just finding out the Chinese government likely hacked computers at the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation in 2010, 2011, and 2013. According to a congressional report on Wednesday that cited an internal investigation by a banking regulator. Now, this is an issue because we don't understand the true depths of our infrastructure that has been completely compromised. And hacked into at every level. And, you know, it sounds spooky sometimes, like a hacker, like there's someone in a suit, like hacking with all these cool screens and stuff. It's actually much more simple than that oftentimes. It's oftentimes that someone very important has a terrible password, and someone can grab it from them using a keylogger or something and access everyone's information. This happens to corporations all the time. Our information is not as secure as we think. When the nuclear launch codes are 0000, also, you know, it raises some red flags. But I will be back. This is the 4th hour. I'm Anthony Gucciardi. It's the Alex Jones Show. A lot more coming up, and we're going to play a special report that Alex did yesterday that is very, very powerful. Stay tuned. That's right. It's the Alex Jones Show. I'm Anthony Gucciardi, and yesterday I shot a video with Alex, or rather Alex shot a video, and I joined in, and it was a great analysis on Black Lives Matter. It was probably the best one that I've seen and been a part of. And specifically, it's not just attacking so-called Black Lives Matter and the ideology. It breaks down the ridiculousness of what's going on and how it's really just a symptom of the raw deal that we've been served as a country. And it's a symptom of the political correctness attack on ideology and just a whole slew of stuff. So we're going to go ahead and play this video, and then I'm going to come back and take some more calls and talk about some more news.
President Obama had a special visitor today. They had a photo op, but then almost all the 3-hour meeting was behind closed doors. No, he wasn't meeting with the head of state. He never meets with them for 3 hours. Hell, not even the Pope for 3 hours. No, ladies and gentlemen, it was the head of Black Lives Matter. And of course, the head of Black Lives Matter, another community organizer like Obama, lives in a home paid for by George Soros, Open Society Foundation menus. So he's bought and paid for in a house with people that are high-level minions of the Open Society Foundation that has the American people's liberties and freedoms on the menu. Black Lives Matter leaders spent 3 hours with President Obama today to demand action in regard to recent officer-involved shootings. How about demand action with all the cops getting shot on a daily basis now? DeRay McKesson, one of the group's most prominent figures, joined several other Black Lives Matter leaders at the White House to bring up concrete action the president can take in order to appease its members. And it goes on from there. Ladies and gentlemen, this isn't about police brutality. It isn't about some of the wrongful shootings that happened that we're totally against. But I'm the guy that wrote books on the police state. I'm the guy that made films about it. And I wanted to stop the police from being globalized and federalized and being tools of tyranny. But now it's about federalizing them. It's about the UN running them. It's about breaking them to bring in global control locally under the Strong Cities Initiative. This whole thing is synthetic from the big mega corporations on down to control society and to create a civil war in this nation. I was the first to use that term. Now it's all over the news. And you better believe that while President Obama is meeting with this guy and other leaders of Black Lives Matter, government Soros funded, Justice Department pulling the strings, it's about creating civil unrest to make everything in America about race, not about real economic or cultural issues that matter. Because now America, on average, is more than, quote, half minority, and they've got the white liberals that will vote, however, as long as you say it's racial. This is about ending thinking in politics and going all racial, which they claim they were always against. This is the political correctness takeover. This is their full push. This is happening in public schools everywhere. This is their horribly racist plan. They're planning civil unrest coming up at the RNC and DNC and right into the election. This is an attempt to destabilize this country. It's very dangerous. The very same globalist, proto-globalist, did this in 1917 in Russia, 1949 in China. They mean business. And it is scary that those cops weren't even cold Friday morning in Dallas. And many others were fighting for their lives, and Obama said, we need to reform the police. That's what happened. And Hillary said, white folks need to listen up. As if some white person working a job has something to do with some cop that shoots somebody in the back. This is about selling race war in America, and this is directed by the so-called federal government that's above the law. You better believe this country and this world's in trouble. Now let's get up and go on over here, and let's talk to Joe Biggs, Infowars.com reporter, than Anthony Gucciardi, and get their takes on what we're facing and what we're dealing with. Joe Biggs.
Well, just think about this. 4 days ago, DeRay McKesson was arrested in Baton Rouge protesting. Then a couple days later was the funeral for the Dallas police